Well, Felix and I have just come back from a nice long walk, and it got me thinking about heroism and how we have to be really careful about when we use it and when we take it and when we accept it. Because I know in our little lizard brains we have some prehistoric element there of fight or flight, where you either fight to save yourself and your family or you run like hell. But I also think in the modern day we have freeze, and that especially applies to public transport. And I recall years ago hopping on the bus from Adelaide back home up McGill Road, and it was a dark wintry night. It was pouring with rain. Lots of commuters were on board, and the bus smelt like a woolen armpit, with sort of hair dripping into shirt collars, sopping socks in shoes, umbrellas creating puddles everywhere. It was awful. And a stop after I got on, a very obviously drunk man got on. So he hadn't spent the day working, or at least not what I would have called working. He reeked. He reeked of some kind of spirit and a fair amount of urine. That's the way I'd describe him. And as he lurched up the bus, he bumped into an old lady who thankfully was still lowering herself into her seat, so he inadvertently helped her and she was okay. So everyone on the bus took the ignore, do nothing approach in their little lizardy brains, including me. I was sitting on a row of seats of three that faced another row of seats of three in the bus. And wouldn't you know it, he sat next to me. So that pissy, BO, sticky hair, life in a ditch stench was all over me. And I thought, okay, I'll just have to breathe through my mouth until it's my turn to get off. But that wasn't his only problem. He took a liking to the girl sitting directly opposite us and started to do what he thought was chatting her up. So he started off with, "G'day, darling," and she ignored him, as did all the rest of us. "Please don't talk to me, please don't talk to me, please don't talk to me." "You're really beautiful, darling." She ignored him. I ignored him. "Oh, how about we both get off the next stop and I'll take you out. You're beautiful. There's no way you're single, but I'll make sure that you become mine. Oh, you're gorgeous." And this went on for a few stops. And then he reached over and attempted to reach for her thigh or her knee. And as luck would have it, the bus jolted and he was prevented from doing so. And it was then my little lizardy brain, or gecko, or whatever is in there, thought, this is not good. And I also thought, as you do tend to think when you decide to act, you look around, it takes a split second and you think, it's okay, I'm safe. That if something terrible happened, I think I'd be okay. He's stumbling drunk, so he's not likely to overpower me. I could probably just push him over. And what happened was the bus was pulling up to an official stop. The doors were open, all the passenger doors, and he reached to touch her knee again. And my little gecko noticed that he had two really manky plastic bags at his feet. So in an instant, I grabbed those bags and flung them out of the passenger door as fast and as quickly as I could. He, of course, wanted to see what had happened to his worldly possessions. He screamed and yelled at me, "Ah, you bloody old bastard," and had to leap off the bus. The door slammed shut, the bus drove off, the drunk was off the bus. I actually got a little round of applause from some of the passengers from doing that, but I had to keep my ego in check because I remembered it was a girl across from me that he had embarrassed, that he had tried to touch, and that for many long minutes, none of us had done anything to try and help her. So I leant over to her and said, "Oh, I'm really sorry about what happened to you. Are you okay?" And she took one look at me and said, "Well, I would have been, but that was my stop."